take a moment to say personally thank you to all my members for all their thoughts and prayers and their best wishes yesterday. As many of you know, or as my members know, one of my best friends I lost the other day. He was he flew an old World War II warbird down to see his son, who was going through flight school where I met him. Scammer, his call sign was Scammer. Met him in 1992, and we've been best friends ever since. And he was taking off after seeing his son, and his plane crashed right in front of his son, and he was killed the other day. So just incredibly tragic day yesterday, and so his wife Christy, and then their three beautiful kids are just having a horrific time. So I'll be heading up to Tennessee next week to say goodbye to my buddy. But thanks for your love and support yesterday. I really appreciate it, folks. Okay, let's get to business. If you didn't get a chance to grab your options weapons school slot this week, or the full throttle slot, they are now gone, so we're closed. Unfortunately, we're full until a couple months from now, if we have some slots. And through atrophy and attrition, as people go back to the fleet, maybe you can grab a slot down the road here. But we're gonna button up the hatches and get airborne. Very interesting stuff going on, folks. Obviously, the peace, the end of the Korean War happened today, and it's just incredibly funny to see limousine liberals give the president zero credit. Barack Hussein Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize for doing nothing, for the hope that this guy would do something. In fact, he pulled out our troops out of Iraq to fulfill a campaign promise, essentially, and with no plan in place for what would happen afterwards. And we know what happened afterwards. ISIS was created. It took over Iraq, some of Syria, killed tens of thousands of innocent people due to President Obama. And, of course, it took 10 months for President Trump to destroy ISIS. So if President Trump, or when President Trump is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, I think he should turn it down, because it's a bunch of limousine liberals, and I'd turn it down just to make them look stupid. But this is absolutely incredible. A year ago, this time last year, liberals were frosting at the mouth that the president was going to get us all killed in a nuclear war, and now the chances of that look slim. I always have one skeptic eye on this whole thing. This guy might be pulling a scam with us, but I'm pretty sure he got the message that if he doesn't denuclearize or knock off what he's doing, President Trump was going to kill him. Now, with he's still a ruthless dictator. He should face justice, but we'll take what we can get. So it's funny, because this morning stocks were up, because Treasury yields went down, and Amazon, as I predicted, was just going to blow the doors off of it. But now we're seeing stocks at the middle of the day start to waver as investors weigh earnings. Yesterday, I got a lot of messages, of course, on a day when I'm trying to mourn a friend here, I'm getting a lot of smart ass, you still in your Facebook trade? I'm like, yeah. Well, a one day pop does not a rally make, folks. So, there's a gap move up, and it still remains to be seen if this thing is, it didn't even come close to its recent, trudging along here. So I'd add to my bearish on Facebook. I don't think Jeffrey Gunlock is that much of a stupid guy. And as I predicted, I said this would be a dead cat bounce towards the 50-day moving average, and we're most likely going to head down. ExxonMobil and a bunch of other folks had underwhelming earnings, so I don't think Amazon and Facebook are going to save the day here, to be honest with you. And our Amazon long position that I recommended, back in the fall when I said get out of every tech stock except Amazon, is blowing the doors off of it today. We have a 1 o'clock brief today, and I can't wait to hear how folks are doing in their Amazon Jan 20 trades. They're just, it's a great call. That's where you need to be, folks. Amazon. I'm a hell of a lot less worried about a random drunk tweet out of Trump about Amazon now. I think it's a little more inoculated, and we expect him to go after Amazon. Initially, it caught us off guard, and that's where we got kicked in the gut a little bit, but now it's recovered, obviously, very, very nicely. We're also going to talk about volatility at 1 o'clock today. Let me pull up Amazon real quick. AMZN. If I could type AMZN, that's what happens when you leave your glasses in the car. Okay. AMZN. So let's take a look at a 6-month chart of Amazon. So this is where I said to dump Facebook, to dump Tesla, to dump everything, Apple. Look at that climb schedule on that chart right there. That is a hell of a return. That's about an 80% return in 6 months. And when I told you to dump or get short Facebook, let's look at that chart right there. It's essentially even. It's exactly where it was. Look at that straight line right across from here to here. Is you didn't make any money on it if you were in the stock. So, but we're starting, and we got some. It's actually, you know, what Barack Hussein Obama wouldn't give for a 2.3% GDP rate print in the first quarter. But consumer spending did slow down in the fourth quarter. But business investment was robust. And here's another good part of that: the U.S. wages and salaries rise at the fastest pace in 10 years. So this is, you know, it's funny. This time 2 years ago under Obama, seriously, what that dude would have given for this type of macroeconomic data, and now we're giving it a little bit of a shrug. So a couple days ago, this was an article in the Wall Street Journal. New worry for stock investors: are corporate earnings peaking? And then Facebook came out with blowout earnings, and everybody was kind of celebrating, like, aha, told you, Wiz, Q1 earnings are now back alive. I'm like, don't know about that. And that's the mid-afternoon story here is, we didn't even get back up to the 50-day moving average yet. And I think we're running out of airspeed as I predicted. So what else do we have here? And then we have a Fed meeting, folks. We have a Fed meeting next week. There's now a non-trivial chance of a rate hike next week. So there's it's, what is it? The Fed Fund futures rate, a 34% of a 25 bip rate hike, which is interesting, and that's also causing the market to waver a little bit. So we're going to debrief at 1 o'clock. I still believe my strategic mindset, my commit criteria on Facebook. We turned on the light in the kitchen and we saw a bunch of roaches. If you see a bunch of roaches, folks, there's a hell of a lot of roaches. And as Mr. Gunlock said this week, when the government comes in to poke around, there's either hey, everything's good and there's no regulation, or there's massive regulation. And as we've laughed about this week, Germany hasn't even gotten their hands on Facebook yet. Germany, remember the German Air Wings, or whatever the hell the name of the company was, flight, where the captain went to the bathroom, the co-pilot locked the door and flew them all into the side of a mountain and killed everybody? Every doctor he was seeing around that time was recommending that dude not even be allowed near an airplane. They weren't allowed to share that with the airline due to privacy issues. Germany has the strictest privacy laws in the world for not so obvious reasons, or obvious reasons. So Facebook's in a world of trouble here, folks. But Jeff Bezos just keeps printing money. As we've said, they announced this week they're going to start offering in-car deliveries when you're at work. He also got booed this week. It came out that many of their part-time workers only making about 28 grand a year, and he got booed by his workers. So the richest, essentially one of the richest dudes in the world, is paying his folks very, very little. So, but we have a 1 o'clock session today. Like I said, we had a great week this week with Options Weapons School that ended Wednesday. Had a pretty tough kick in the gut yesterday on Thursday, but the sun rose today, and it's the promise of a new day. So I'm going to get some airspeed back on my personal jet here. Have a tough week next week, heading up to Tennessee sometime, but it's going to be to celebrate the life of what a great American. I mean, this guy, if you guys knew Scammer, he's the only other guy on the face of the world could spin a yarn better than me, and I'll be willing to admit that. Just a great dude, just a phenomenal man, and the world is certainly going to be a duller place. So, all right, folks, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and I'll see many of you for Monday's Market Outlook, or I'll see many of you today for our Accelerated Retirement session at 1 o'clock.